Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the hell you guys are located. This is Al Ditton. I'm with Underground Webzine. This is Webisode number 43. Please hit that subscribe button. I would highly appreciate it. Like it, share it with your friends. Tonight, I have the honor of welcoming the guest, Chevy Easter. He's the vocalist from the band Saprogenous. What's up, Chevy? How you doing tonight, dude?
Pretty good. Can't complain. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good myself, actually. And no one likes a complainer, do they?
Nope, not usually.
Well, they might listen to you for a while, but they really don't want to hear it. Yeah, dude, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, welcome all my new subscribers that have been appearing out of nowhere lately. I appreciate it. I'm up to 158, trying to get up to 200 before the end of the year. And if I can reach that goal, hey, that'd be awesome.
I think you'll do it. You might even go past that.
Let's hope so. Well, Chevy, first off, it's always the same question with everybody. Who are your influences?
Let's see, like vocally.
Yeah, vocally or instrument-wise, whichever. You can pick both. It's cool.
Let's see. I guess probably like a little bit of Will Romer. Just because of like the low, like unintelligible range and just really like aggressive. I don't know the name of the vocalist who was or is in Hemdale, but I really like him. Outside of that, Trevor Sternad was a really big influence. I think that might have been the first death metal band I ever heard growing up in 2007. Because I grew up listening to like, I started probably in like new metal and like rock or whatever, classic rock, like the Doors and the Guess Who, and then got into like Korn and Disturbed and Mudvayne and some Slipknot and Marilyn Manson, Rob Zombie type of stuff. And then I think it was 2005 or 6. One of my friends was like, hey, check this band out. And it was Suicide Silence. That was like around the time the Cleansing album came out. And I had never heard anything that extreme, like vocally or instrumentally. And I was just like, wow. I was like, I need more of this. So then just like suggested YouTube videos and blog spots and MySpace and everything, kind of just found my way around it and found a bunch of different bands. And then just kind of went from there. I didn't really get, I guess, into like strictly death metal until probably like Black Dahlia Murder, which would have been, I guess, like 2007, 2008. I saw them for the first time touring on Nocturnal with Misery Index and Soylent Green. And that was an amazing show. And then I just kind of went from there. I've always listened to a lot of different genres. So even people that necessarily aren't metal vocalists, I kind of like have felt somewhat like inspired or interested in, like Jim Morrison and like Jonathan Davis at points in my life, like when I was younger. So it's kind of just all over the place.
That's cool. That's very cool. Very in-depth answer too. I like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So tell me, who came up with the band name Saprogenous? Why did you choose that name? And also, did you have any other band names before that?
Well, I think Ted and or Walker came up with the name because they started it as an online project after their old band Knife Wound went on like a hiatus, and they were kind of just like messing around. And I think Walker was doing vocals and playing bass, and Ted was like helping program drums and recording guitar. And it was just kind of them doing their own thing. And they put out a bunch of demos. And then I want to say they found AJ in 2019, I think. And then I ended up booking their first show because Deterioration was coming through. And Ted had asked me, he's like, hey, man, you know anybody that would book this, or do you think you would? And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And so we used to have a donut shop here that would let us book like metal shows called the Donut Hole, WHOLE. They're still around, but they stopped booking metal shows, which is unfortunate. And so it was Saprogenous' first show. So it was just AJ, Walker, and Ted. and Walker was doing vocals and playing bass. And then Deterioration, Y Incision, and Rim Job. I think that was it. I'm pretty sure that was, maybe the Cups were on it, which the Cups are another band that the old vocalist of Knife Wound, Scotty, has. It's like his punk band, but he used to be in Knife Wound for a while. He was their last vocalist before they split up. And so I kind of came along in 2021 when Ted and Walker were hanging out one night, and they called me at probably like 12:45 in the morning. And I was just laying in bed, I think watching a movie. And they were like, hey, you want to join Saprogenous? And I was like, really? Because Ted had asked me to send him like a clip of me just doing vocals. And so like I just was messing around, and he liked it, and he sent it to Walker, and Walker was like, yeah, we like this. And so then they called me and they were like, yeah, dude, join if you want. And I was like, okay, awesome. And so then I joined, and then basically I think a week or 2 weeks after that, we went over to Walker's house and I recorded all of the tracks for Festering and Putrid Spoilage, because they had already recorded the album and I think the files got corrupted. So they had to re-record it, but they were already sitting on it and just needed somebody to track vocals. And so we did that, and then sat on it until August, I think, is when it was released through Shattered Dreams Productions, and Jim and Joe from Deterioration run that label. I think they might have mixed and mastered it also for us. And then we put that out and played 2 shows here in October that year, one with Deterioration and one with Gross Load and Moiscus. And then I don't think we did anything until 2022 when we did a tour kickoff show here in March. And then we went on like some of the Deterioration run that they did. We played Houston, San Antonio, Oklahoma City, Dallas, and then we came back home and they did the like remaining 6 days.
I wasn't sure if you guys had any ideas of different names they would toss up from the air before you guys came up.
Not that I'm aware of. I think,
that.
I don't know how they came across it. Maybe they just liked the name or liked the definition and just kind of rolled with it. A lot of people have pronounced it wrong. I mean, I didn't even really know until Ted told me. I mean, because I've heard like Saprogenous and Saprogenous, and one time we were playing a show and somebody called it Saprogenesis, which was real far off, but it was funny. We also get a lot of those people who are like, what does that say? You know, or is that just scribbles? And to me, it doesn't look as bad, because when I look at it, I can see it pretty clearly, as opposed to, I don't know, a lot of other bands in similar genres or this genre that you can just really can't like tell that it says anything.
Well, I'm sure you remember that meme that was going around where they had a bunch of sticks.
Yes.
Like a metal band logo. And I'm just like, wait, does that even say anything? I can almost make out Burzum.
Right. And I think there's one of like a leather cushion that's like ripped or like fading or something on it. And somebody's like, oh, what metal band is this? There's so many of them. They're always funny to come across. We've heard a lot of different things, you know, and it's just funny.
That is pretty
glad that it's that way. I mean, at least it's something that they remember, like, oh, that's that band where I can't even tell what it says on their logo.
Now, this next question was a question I was going to ask Ted, but I figured I'd ask you because I totally forgot.
Okay.
Now, there's 2 CDs. I noticed that you said that you guys say that there's one with a lower volume problem with it.
Oh, yes.
I listened to both of them and I really couldn't tell too much of a difference. Could you help elaborate on that?
Well, so what I was told is that whoever pressed the CDs, like the plant or factory or whatever happened there, the first disc that was in the case had like a lower audio quality as opposed to the ones that they had asked for, because they said, hey, this doesn't sound as good. I think Jim was testing it maybe in the van or in his computer speakers or stereo or something, and he could tell a difference. And so then he let them know, and they sent out replacement CDs. And so that's why on the front of all the CDs that were sold, we were just saying like, okay, you can have an extra CD, you can give it away, you can throw it away, do whatever, but the one in the little paper slip, not in the case, was the better audio quality, I guess. But I never really listened to it, so I don't know. The only way I've heard it is on the YouTube stream that the label put up, and then on Spotify. So I'm not sure if I've even popped my CD in. I just have it sitting in my closet.
Yeah, I was confused by it because I listened to both of them and I'm just like, I don't know. I can't really tell the difference. So I figured I'd
maybe
ask about that.
not a big difference, or I don't know, maybe only a few of them were messed up and they were just like, well, just to be safe, we'll send out all these extras. I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah, I found it interesting when I got this CD and the stickers from Ted. I was just like, wait a minute, there's two of these? Well, okay, I guess I'll just keep this one as a collector item. Why not?
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, might be worth something someday. Who knows?
Yeah, a whole $30 now.
Possibly. So let me ask you, how did you learn how to do growling? Like, you use your, I'm sure you use your diaphragm, because that's what they always say, is to use your stomach when you growl, or if you're screaming or singing.
Oh yes. Well,
Like, do you do
just
vocal
listening.
exercises?
Well, so I never really did up until maybe a year or less ago. One of my friends, Brian, he's in a band called Rig Time, and they tour about 100+ days out of the year, sometimes more. Him and his wife play music together. And I met them in 2015. They've been around as that band since 2014, and they've been all over the US. I think there's only maybe 5 states that they haven't played a show in so far. And they grind, they're really dedicated, they're amazing people, their music is fun. But he plays drums and does vocals at the same time. And he has a headset mic, which is pretty neat. I always was surprised by that. And so he gave me some tips because he goes, 100+ days in a row of, or, not always in a row, but at least 2 months or like a week or 3 weeks at a time, never loses his voice, nothing happens. And he always sounds the same at every show, like real powerful, clear. And so I figured, well, he'd be the one to ask for advice. And so he's given me a lot of tips about, just like stay hydrated. If you're going to drink coffee, don't drink coffee with like 2 hours or less before you perform, because like the way that it might interact with your vocal cords. Obviously don't smoke or anything like that, or vape. That's not going to help you in any way. And then he gave me this vocal warm up. It's about 17 minutes long from a professional singer. And I do that before practice and before shows. And I just make sure that I'm really like pushing for my diaphragm and like mouth formations. And some of it I kind of just wing because I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't the proper way to do it. But if I'm wanting to make like a really weird sound, I just kind of take what I know and then roll with it. And also a couple years ago, I had asked Don Campen from Waking the Cadaver, because he was somebody, I guess he could be a vocal influence, kind of going back to the previous question, because I grew up listening to his band a lot. And I was always just so surprised that he could make all these different sounds and how just gurgly it was. And I had asked him and he gave me a bunch of tips, like he said, don't smoke, don't vape, that just dries your vocal cords out, and gave me a lot of his own tips as well. And so I kind of just took those 2 pieces of advice from those 2 different people and applied it to what I feel comfortable with and how I do it. And I just make sure that I don't overdo it, because years back in previous bands, I've done it the wrong way. And I'll be maybe 2 songs in and I can tell that I've been just shouting. My vocal cords are just shot, or I don't have a voice the next day, or I'm lucky to even have a voice 5 minutes after we're done playing. And so I was like, okay, I really need to learn how to do this properly, because if I want to really do this seriously and ever go somewhere with this, I'm going to need to be able to be consistent. So it's just been bunch of learning from different people, and sometimes YouTube videos, just depending on what you're wanting, like different vocal warm-ups, or if there's a certain sound or style you're going for, you can kind of find those on there. But I mainly just do that warm-up and take most of Brian's advice and do it that way. He also taught me some other things, like different warm-ups besides the 17-minute tutorial thing. Just like I don't remember what he called it, but there's one where like pretend you're pushing your breath like over a pencil and you're holding your pencil in front of your mouth like at a certain length and coming from your diaphragm, and then making like a Marge Simpson type of voice in like the back of your head, and then kind of pushing it out, and all sorts of things. I used to have it all in a notebook, and now it's just kind of like in my head because I've been doing it for a few years and trying to figure it all out.
Would you like to give us a small example?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't warmed up or anything. I could do something. I don't I'm kind of nervous about it. I don't know why. I still am, just to this day. Even before we play, sometimes I'll be like, oh man, I'm getting ready to go and just act like a fool in front of people. But yeah, I can do something. I don't know what exactly, but whatever you want to hear, I can attempt.
Well, let's hear a good roll.
All right. Let me stand up. I'm gonna get a little drink of water first.
Stay hydrated. Rule number one.
Yeah, it's like 103 degrees here today too. All right. Just a little sample.
Sounded good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think it's kind of, I don't know why. I mean, I know I take it seriously, but I'm also always like, oh, I feel like such a dork when I do it when we're not practicing or anything. But then again, there's always the questions, you know, like, oh man, how do you do that? Or what does it sound like? So eventually I just kind of have to like go for it.
And when I started growling, I was like 14, 15 years old or so. And my brother introduced me to Mortification, Squirrels of the Megaloft. And I was just like, what is this guy doing? That's incredible. Because it's like, dude, it's a band that growls. So then when I went into high school, I heard Suffocation, DSI, and I was like, whoa, there's even more bands like that. Cool. So I started getting more and more into it. So then I started doing my own thing, and I'm just like, here I'm at 43, still doing it.
That's good.
But my voice shuts out a lot because sometimes the next day I'll be like, this is Peter Steele reincarnated. And I'm like, no, we don't talk like that. But yeah, dude, I mean, that sounded very impressive. I really liked it. So
thank you. I'm glad. Our new stuff is going to be a step up, in my opinion, from our old stuff. I really like our old album, but the new material is taking a little bit of a different direction. Nothing that I think will turn anybody off, but maybe some more like old school elements and a little more on like the death metal side instead of like the gore grind side. I mean, we still have plenty of fast parts and plenty of just, you know, like in your face, like riffs and blast beats, but some of our songs are just kind of like differently composed. And we played some of them on tour back in March. Well, let's see, one new song. And then we're going to have 6 total on this split. One's a cover, which we were playing that as well, but we're just locking down, and I'm really happy with the direction it's going, because this is the first time that we have all written music together since I've joined the band, because everything was already made when I joined, and they were just like, hey, you know, do what you want. Like, just go with it, figure it out. And that was a really fun process. But now to just see songs kind of start from the ground up, and just, you know, Ted shows up to practice, has a riff, starts playing it, starts elaborating on it. A few minutes later, you know, AJ's like, okay, I have an idea for this, and then goes into it, and it's just crazy because it just takes off and everything is very cohesive. And our practices, I mean, even though sometimes we try to do like twice a week, but we can't always do it with everybody's schedule. But when we do get together at least once a week, it's always I mean, right away, we nail it, we do our thing, and then we'll either start working on something else or just try and like fine tune one of the newer songs because we want to play it live eventually, especially with a bunch of different shows coming up. So it's been fun. It's hands down like the best band I've been a part of. The heaviest, the most consistent, and it just blows my mind to see people, especially people in bands that I've looked up to for all these years, just post a picture in a shirt or a CD or things like that, and they're like, "Yeah, really enjoying this," and it's like, oh my gosh, I can't help but feel a little like starstruck when I see them. I'm like, oh my God, you popped in a CD that has my voice on it. And I've been listening to every album that you've made for the last 10 years. So it's just weird, but it's really cool too. And I'm just excited to see where it goes.
That's really great. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Well, the rest of the guys, Ted, Walker, and AJ. Give a shout out to, I don't know, all of our like local friends that have been either like picking up tickets, because we're selling some tickets for the Undeath and Silverbox show that we're playing here in August, which we haven't had like a really intense death metal show here in years. So the fact that we were asked to play this and that it's even coming here is amazing. So I mean, Third String Productions, everything they're doing and like offering us a slot on it, it's just really amazing. I can't think of another word for it. It's just, I'm super excited for it, especially because like after seeing Undeath, I think I've seen Silverbox twice now. It's just like, man, you know, the fact that these bands are on the top of like newer death metal right now, and they're coming here, we're getting a chance to play with them. It's going to be really cool. We're playing in Lincoln, Nebraska for the first time. Well, I think Ted and Walker have played there before in Knife Wound, but I've never been there. And that'll be cool with Coagulate, Varlock, and Bloodspawn from St. Louis. Those are really cool dudes. They were supposed to play here last year with us, but the show ended up getting canceled last minute, which was a big bummer. And I don't know, just anybody that listens to our stuff, anybody that hates our stuff, either way, I appreciate it, you know, and it's really cool just to have people out there listening to it or being excited to hear new songs or still listening to our old songs. And when somebody decides, oh, hey, I'm going to order your shirt online, it's just like, it still baffles me. I mean, I know that people are going to support a band they like, but when I see so many pictures and so many people wearing it or with the CD, it just, I don't know, it's a great feeling, and everything helps us. Like it's just amazing, and it's very appreciated on our end.
Right
Even
on.
this, I mean, thank you for doing this and, you know, giving us a review and having Ted on and having me on, and just, you know, new friends, meeting new people that we have a love for the same style of music. It's cool. I just never really thought that I would be a part of anything like this. I mean, I've always been going to shows here like for a long time and then traveling for shows when I can, but I just didn't expect it to kind of grow with our band as quickly as it has, going from being like, oh, hey, play a few shows here, and then all of a sudden, oh, go on tour, play out of town, get an offer, you know, to play this big fest in Texas with a bunch of bands that I've listened to for a while, and then a bunch of bands I haven't even heard before that I know are going to be just top notch. That's really what I'm looking forward to. It's going to be a cool like summer, early fall.
That sounds great. I haven't seen you guys live yet, but maybe someday you guys can make it to Atlanta or maybe close by.
Hopefully. Yeah, I'd love that. I mean, it'd be cool to meet you and to meet Brandon and just, well, meet Brandon again. I've met him a few times, but I've never been to Georgia, and I've always wanted to visit. Plus, it seems like they get a lot of good shows. Our shows that come nearby are usually like 3 hours away still. So I couldn't imagine being in a city where actual death metal bands are like, oh, we're going to stop here and play.
I met Brandon last year at the Inhuman Condition show with Crusadus.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Sounds fun.
he turned out to be a really great friend. Brandon, Hale's brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think him and Ted are going to a show next week when Ted's in Georgia. I don't remember who it is. Cause of Death or not, something. I don't know. I don't remember who it is, but it sounded fun.
It's going to be Left to Die, Skeletal Remains, and I don't remember who else. Left to Die is that tribute band with Terry Butler, Gus Rios, Matt Harvey, and I forgot who else is in it.
Wow. That'll be cool. I've been wanting to see Skeletal Remains for a while.
Yeah, I really can't think of much else to ask you, Chevy. But my last question is always the same as well. Do you have any last words for Underground Noise Webzine?
Well, I appreciate everything you're doing, and it was an honor to be asked to come on here. And I hope you hit 300 subscribers before the year's over. I think you can do it. It's nice to see people out here, you know, with a love for death metal and other like underground extreme music, and just wanting to put more content out there to review albums or to get people into something new. And you know, anybody that chooses to listen to us or buy stuff from us, or even just say like, hey, it's not my thing, but appreciate what you're doing, it's all, you know, very cool on our end. We appreciate it either way. And I don't know, I'm just look forward to the future. And they can follow us on, we have every social media besides TikTok. So if you want to keep up with us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, we're on Spotify and Apple Music. We have a Bandcamp, but it hasn't been updated. Want to give a shout out to Shattered Dreams Productions and Deterioration for doing everything that they have for us and helping us out so much, you know, taking us on the road, putting our music out, really pushing it. And just, it's been a great time, and I know it's only going to continue to get better.
Awesome. Well, remember, everybody, support your local music scene, support the underground, support Saprogenous, support Underground Noise Webzine. Webisode number 43 with Chevy Easter. Thanks again, Chevy. And
No
you're
problem.
welcome.
Thank you.